Welcome to another episode of OG55. We got the one and only Mr. Drew, the Disney dude. He is in the house. We're talking about these price hikes. We're talking about Tangled coming to the Storybook Canals. We're talking about the Frozen, the new faces over there at Epcot. We got a lot of great stuff today. We're gonna break it down with Mr. Disney dude himself up next here on OG50. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We got Drew back in the house on this episode where we are talking all about the price hikes, Tangled, Frozen, all that good stuff. Even a little bit of Tokyo Disney with Marvel can be a stacked show. Drew, welcome back, sir. How you doing, brother?
Good to be back, and I think that we've done multiple of these episodes, but I believe this is the first time you and I have ever just spoken directly to each other. So yeah, we've got a lot of news to talk about, and as I've said many times before, I feel like every single time we've played an episode like this and we have like scheduled a few days out, Disney will drop things by the time we talk, so it's perfect. And there's no lack of topics today, to say the least. Some better, some for the worse, but we're going to talk about all of it.
Yeah, 100%. If you can remind everybody where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, I'm on pretty much every platform now. Lately, I've been posting more than ever. I feel like last year people really just knew me from Twitter, but now I'm on Twitter, YouTube, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of the major platforms. I've been doing different content styles to kind of match every platform and really putting a lot of time and way too much thought into what works on each platform. If I look out of it, it's because I am, quite honestly, but I'm grateful for the opportunity. But yeah, anywhere on social media, you guys can find me. And I'm sorry, my chair is so squeaky. I gotta sit up. It doesn't like me right now.
No worries, no worries. And I'll be linking his channel down below. Make sure you subscribe to Drew. He does a lot of great content. Make sure you check him out and check him out on all his social medias. 1000%. All right, let's dive right into our first story of the day. The biggie. Ooh. Yeah, right. The biggie, new ticket prices, right? They really hiked these prices up, especially for that Inspire key, man. 8.2%. We're just like a chest hair away from, and that was a George reference, by the way, a chest hair away of the $2,000 mark for the Inspire. You know, I mean, this is kind of crazy. I know Walt Disney World also, saw a hike. What are your thoughts, Drew? This is kind of wild, right?
Yeah, I'm quite honestly, I've been so busy because like last night I was up until like 1 a.m. working on Dancing with the Stars stuff, and I had no idea this stuff was coming today. Like we knew with the new fiscal, I guess it's probably good to mention that for those of you guys who don't follow Disney as closely as Chris and I do, and you're like, why is this happening now? And why do we always expect this and know to talk about it? It's because Disney's fiscal year usually always begins at the beginning of October. And with that new fiscal year, they start to spend a lot of money in the parks. And with that money, they start to invest. Well, then they put that off on the guests, us. Which sucks, quite honestly. There's no sugarcoating it. I haven't even seen these Disneyland prices until now, just because I've been so busy getting my YouTube video up and all that. But yeah, that's wow. I did not realize it was 8.5% and 10 and 13. Like that's really nuts, man. Also, a big shout out to Theme Park IQ, one of the best theme park accounts ever. Very underrated. Like does some of the best work in our community and has helped me out with many things behind the scenes. So this graphic, I would never be able to do anything like this. And I'm pretty good with social media, I like to think at least. But that's an absolute brilliant piece. Yeah, it's very disappointing to say the least. And I was mentioning you to Chris before we started recording, just like where the economy is right now. People are struggling financially. I think we all kind of know that, but like everyone's going on with their life, trying to pretend it's not happening. Just like everyone's on social media, living their life, but making everything look perfect, but behind the scenes, everyone's struggling. And just with all the negativity in the world recently, and people need Disney as an escape, in my opinion. I'm assuming a lot of you guys watching would agree with that because it's a theme park channel, you know. So to see people get priced out of their happy place, it really sucks. There's no sugarcoating it.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. It's bad. It's bad timing. You know, it's not a great look. I understand. Look, I understand like you were saying, the fiscal year and all that, and this is kind of typical, right? Around this time,
unfortunately,
yeah, they kind of do that. But I mean, but the increases, like the amount, the percentages, kind of vary from year to year. And this is a biggie, you know. This is a biggie, and it's rough out there, you know. And I just feel like like what we were talking about earlier, Drew, too. We're like, these parks, Disneyland, in particular, like, with California Adventure, I mean, this park is going to be a construction site
Yeah.
in the next year, between the Coco boat ride and we got the two Avengers rides, and they're going to be shutting down, that back area with Monsters Inc. and all that, early 2026. So you're paying a whole lot more for, not a whole lot right now. And that is very, very disappointing. Here's the thing though, and this is where I really want to pick your brain on this, Drew, because
Yeah.
I see this a lot, where like there's these huge price increases and they get pretty egregious with this stuff. I mean, do you think this is going to be the time when like fans kind of pull back and kind of vote with their wallet? Like, I feel like as a fandom, we don't do that enough. You know what I'm saying? But do you feel like this might be the breaking point, or do these monthly payments that they offer basically kind of mitigate any chance of that?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I was actually on Fox earlier on our local channel. I usually talk with them like every time I get big news. I'm very grateful for that Fox relationship, and Farron out here at EYNTK introduced me to them. And Garrett on Fox asked me earlier, he's like, when does this stop? It's something that I constantly think about. I feel like it's something that's crossed all of our minds at some point. Is these prices go up every year? We constantly see the negative feedback. Every single time it's like clockwork. People hate it, but the parks don't ever seem to be impacted by it. And I think that's a question that it's like the $1 million question that I don't think anyone really knows the answer to is, when does Disney stop this? Because like we've mentioned, there's so much construction going on, and something that I was even thinking about is like, I feel like Villains Land for the domestic parks is going to be the project that wraps up all of this current investment. I think that everything's going to be done at Disneyland. Pandora will probably open right before Villains Land. It could be swapped either way, vice versa. But like, we're going to have 2026 price increases. We're going to have 2027 price increases. We're going to have 2028 price increases and a 2029 price increases before those areas open, right? Like, I feel like Disney could easily get away with opening Villains and Pandora after the 2030 fiscal year begins to make more money on those areas when they open. So if you're looking at a $1,900 Inspired key in 2025, what is that going to be in 2030? Like that's what terrifies me. And also something that I feel like I have to mention here, because I feel like something that I'm very self-aware of, and that's what I always try to be self-aware, because I feel like sometimes people don't really know my actual thoughts. They see me post on Twitter, they think I'm always positive, because on Twitter I avoid posting my opinions. That is intentional, because whenever I share an opinion on Twitter, because I have a large following over there, which I'm very grateful for, don't get me wrong, whenever I post an opinion that's strongly opinionated, it blows up. Like the other night, I posted about Tiana's and how I think it's embarrassing that it's operating in the state out here at Walt Disney World, and it got like 100,000 views, and it was a reply to a post. So I intentionally avoid posting these things on Twitter, but like, I can't even afford to fly out to Disneyland right now, just where my family's at and the economy and everything. The only reason I can even go to Walt Disney World is because I'm local and I have an annual pass. So like, at what point does it become too much for the locals? And at what point does it become too much for people spending thousands of dollars to come here? Well, from airfare to hotels, to tickets, to food, merchandise, to add-ons, like you can't have a full Disney vacation without these things anymore. And the kids love the character breakfasts and dinners and lunches. Like that's what makes the memories. So yeah, it's a great point. I don't know. I feel like at the same time though, I feel like we've been saying this for 10 years.
Yeah.
And somehow, I don't know, like it's shocking to me that these prices continue to go up. And just a few months ago, Disney is talking about Walt Disney World having its best quarter on record in 54 years. It's fascinating. I don't think it's fascinating in a great way, because I don't like when people are priced out of their happy place. But when does it hit that breaking point? When does this not happen anymore?
Well, no, 100%, 100%. And it also kind of makes me wonder the motives behind it. Obviously, there's a financial motive with Disney. Obviously, they're a big corporation. Yeah. I understand that, absolutely. But I wonder if there's also, especially when it comes to Disneyland Resort, right? Because it looks like a lot of times it seems like it's the magic key holders that seem to take the brunt of a lot of this stuff. I mean, do you think there's an effort by Disney to sort of mitigate these locals from coming into the park? Like obviously, Disneyland Resort needs locals. I mean, it's part of the overall health of the resort. But do you feel like, especially going into Pandora and all these new changes, that maybe they're trying to kind of, thin these numbers out a little bit so they can focus more on like tourism going into some of these big expansions? Is that a possibility, kind of what we're seeing here?
Yeah, I think so, 100%. And I think that that's kind of the one thing that I am lucky being local to Walt Disney World is because we have the 4 theme parks in Disney Springs and Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach and all that stuff, we can kind of sneak into the parks and we're not really impacting anything at the end of the day. Whereas there's so many pass holders, I guess I should say key holders at Disneyland, that like, I remember just, what was it, a couple of years ago when you couldn't get a Magic Key for a while. And now we start to see those passes, go on sale again more often. But I think something that, Disney themselves has said this, like if you know where to watch these interviews when they do these Q&As with these big investing firms, they will say these things. It's just the general Disney fans never going to see it. The thing is, I watch those things because I love to watch those things. It fascinates my brain and my brain starts to spin. I compare my brain into a hamster on a hamster wheel, but like it's like Mickey on a hamster wheel. Just never stop. It's like constant Disney. And there's Mickey on your mug. But yeah, it's crazy. And I think that you make a really good point about per guest spending, right? If Disney can make more money per guest in the park and they have less guests in the park, that's what they want. So their goal absolutely is to price people out. But for an executive, it's not a big deal for them to price someone out because they're still making the money at the end of the day, and that's their job. But for us as fans, like we have that human like empathy to us where like I had a comment earlier on my Twitter account. I'm like, everything the guy said was accurate. Like I agreed with what he was saying, but I'm like, man, I just doesn't sit right with me morally. Like, yes, like pricing people out of the parks does make the experience better for the people who get to go still. But then I feel guilty that I'm even at Walt Disney World anymore because I know that there's so many people who can't even get into the park anymore. And like, I understand that these things, there's going to be luxuries in life that not everyone can experience. Something that I do think is, I always think about in the back of my head is how it doesn't seem like anyone ever comments on like concert prices or like a Super Bowl or even like postseason baseball right now. And I understand that that's like one cost. Like you're literally just paying for the ticket to get to the game and that's it. Whereas a vacation comes with everything, an entire package, like I mentioned, with airfare, hotels, tickets, food, drinks, all that stuff, the souvenirs. But I feel like there's even people who travel to these sports games and they're putting so much money into these games. You'll tune on Monday Night Football and you'll see someone, their whole face is painted, right? And no one ever talks about that. But a right. Disney adult is suddenly the worst thing ever created. So I do think there's a double standard with everything. I just don't think people ever think logically enough and try to be balanced. It's even like the Disney versus Universal debate. Like you can't like Disney and Universal. You have to either pick Epic Universe or you have to pick Disney. It's absolutely absurd. It's extremely, extremely stupid. We should be grateful for themed entertainment and the fact that Universal just spent billions of dollars on this beautiful place, right? Like why is that such a hard concept to grasp? I don't understand it. Social media has kind of ruined, in my opinion. That's actually a video I have on my topic list right now. Is my working title is social media ruining theme parks, because I think it's having a lot of negative impacts on everything. The fact that everything is so microscope, like because of social media, everyone knows everything. Every single thing can be shared in seconds. I do that. Scott and I do that, right? Everyone does it. WWNT, Blog Mickey, WW Magic, Disney Food Blog. Even you and I talking right now is an example of us monitoring everything, right? But I'm thinking of making a very personal video kind of talking about like the impacts of social media on Disney and what impact is that having in the long run, kind of like this TikTok era of Disney parks and how things are shifting to optimize every single inch of these parks. It's fascinating. I would love to know what goes on behind the scenes, but there's definitely been a shift and I don't know if it's for the better.
No, I agree with you. That's a fascinating, discussion to have. And also I would agree with you too about the double standard. I see it a lot, right? Yeah. Even within I see it obviously with, Disney compared to like sports events and concerts and what have you, because concerts are very expensive. I mean, sometimes those seats run you hundreds of dollars for just a couple of hours, right?
Yeah.
But even with like the theme park wars, and I love Universal too. I'm a fan of Universal, but I mean, a lot of I feel like a lot of the fandom sort of ignores some of the expense, how expensive Universal kind of is, right? Like outside of like the ticketing, which I do believe Universal is pretty good. Like they're pretty better. Yeah, they're pretty good in the ticketing end of it and their passes. But once you get in that park though, you're still going to spend $13 on a beer. The food ain't cheap. I mean, Universal's a very expensive thing once you're in, But I don't feel like that's really ever talked about, and it should be,
Yeah, even to the point that I vividly remember back when I was going to Epic Universe during the previews, I went a few times and I'd walk into like the Super Nintendo store outside of Super Nintendo World and I'd pick up like a Bowser plush and it's like $45. And it's like a stuffed animal this big, right? At Magic Kingdom, that's probably $35. So yes, Disney is cheaper in their merchandise and food department, I think still. And also like the thing that no one ever talks about, I think no one ever talks about SeaWorld and Busch Gardens because their product is just shit these days, quite honestly. But like, dude, like that 5% surcharge and 19.99 for chicken and fries, the Magic Kingdom, that's like 10.50. Like if I don't know what the price is for a chicken like tender meal at Magic Kingdom, but it's always usually been like 10.50 max, which I think is pretty fair. Like it's not like world-class stuff, but it's a theme park. I'm not expecting filet mignon by any means. You know, but if I go to Cosmic Rays right now on my app, I'm wondering what it went up to. It's if this would probably be like $24.99 at SeaWorld or Busch Gardens. No one ever talks about that. And the quality of their attractions is crap too. Let me look. Yeah, so the chicken strip meal is still $10.99 at Magic Kingdom. I don't think that's horrible. Like I think that's still, yeah, I still think that's reasonable. Like a French onion bacon burger is $15 now. Like I wouldn't ever spend $15 on a meal, but it's still $5 cheaper than some of these other theme park chains. I just think that, again, when Disney and Universal are the world-class top-tier offering, that they're going to get more focused. I still think Universal needs more heat, though, for some of the things they've done. Because like you've said, you know, even Universal had, what is their thing called? What's the name of their pass to get in faster, right? Express Pass, right?
Express Pass.
Yeah, I had a brain fart. But like Universal had like those multi-$100 Express Passes, like, long before Disney. I don't know how many years, but it's been there as long as I remember. And I could be wrong here, so I'm not going to speak this as fact, but I think that Universal's Express Pass pricing can change even on the day of, to where you don't know what the price is. Whereas Disney has theirs months out. I could be wrong there, but I feel like there's even like curveballs that if you're not budgeting for it, then you're out of luck and you're already here. So yeah, again, I'm not bashing on Universal. I love their product, and I actually miss Epic Universe. Like the last few weeks, I've wanted to go back. I'm like, I'm not going until I get an AP. But yeah, their product's great. I just wish there was more of a healthy balance. And like there's the last thing I'll say about this. You know, I love talking to you because like I feel like we think so similarly, and even like your viewers are just open-minded people. I feel like every time I read the comments on your guys' videos, even not when I'm talking to you, I just feel like the comments are like, you guys think, right? You guys use your brain, you know? You don't. Yeah. I always say use your brain, don't use your heart when it comes to these things, because you got to be logical. You know, I like the video I just uploaded the other day where I was talking about cars and villains. Like, I didn't love talking about all those things, but it was a logical video. I forgot what I was gonna say. What was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say because I'm ranting. It's okay. But yeah, that's. I just was. Oh yeah. Yes. Okay. I remembered. I was gonna say that people are always like, well, Universal's building so quickly. Yes, they are. The fact that they're still demolishing Rip Ride Rocket and already putting foundations in for their next coaster is awesome. I think that's sick.
Yeah, but that is.
Universal only has 2 projects right now. They have Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift, and they have this new roller coaster. Disney has 14 new rides and 3 cruise ships being built right now. So there's still no competition there, guys. I'm sorry. Let's remember that too. But
that's a great. That's a great point. And I completely agree with you in terms of, I do believe Universal needs to get more heat, and not unfair heat, but just fans need to look at these things and go, okay, you know what? Universal, that ain't working. You know what I'm saying? Because really it doesn't help Universal when we pretend like there's no problems, because I understand the frustration with the fandom, right? They're like, okay, we're frustrated with Disney, so we want to support Universal as an alternative to sort of send a message. But you're not helping Universal, though, by pretending it's perfect over there either. You have to sort of be honest and, hey, look, there's issues, and, you know, call them out, because otherwise their parks don't ever improve. We don't want that, you know? Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's actually a conversation. I won't go any further than what I'm about to say, just out of respect for the people that I work with behind the scenes. But like, I've even talked to Disney's PR team before, and they're like, we don't want you to be 100% positive, because that doesn't set a realistic expectation for our guests. Right. Like, let's say there's a family of 4 living in Michigan, for example, and they follow Drew the Disney Dude on Twitter. And they're like, well, Drew is saying Walt Disney World's so great right now. And then they get here and they walk into Dino Lane and there's walls everywhere. And they walk into Magic Kingdom and there's walls everywhere. And they walk in Hollywood Studios and Rock Roller Coaster's closed and Muppet Vision's closed. And I'm never talking about the price increases, so they don't know that those prices went up. And then they get here and they're mad at me because I didn't cover it. Well, that doesn't help Disney, right? That's why I absolutely hate this narrative of these people online saying, oh, well, you're on the media list, you can't criticize. Bro, no, that's so not true. Disney wants us to be balanced. They want us to be normal. Like, if I never criticize anything, what am I doing for them? I'm hurting them at the end of the day. I'm not helping them.
Well, yeah, no, 100%, Drew. That's a total myth. And I hear that all the time too, right? Oh, you're on the media list, so you have to say everything is positive.
No, that's BS, yeah.
it's BS. There's a guy, John Campia. He does more film side stuff.
Yeah, John's awesome.
John is awesome. I love Campy. I've been a fan of his for years. And he talked about this a couple years ago because he's on that list. He gets invited to freaking everything, right?
And he even leaked the No Way Home, dude. Like
exactly. And he gets invited to everything. And he's very critical about like Star Wars and Disney movies in general. And he even said up front, he's like, you know what? There's this notion that like I can't critique a Disney movie. He's like, that's just not true. Disney still invites me to these things, despite the fact if I don't like this movie or don't like that movie, even if I'm critical. Basically, he was just saying, as long as I'm fair about it, and as long as I'm not being like crazy, like obnoxious, like what's the word? Like offensive, basically. Disney welcomes it. You know what I'm saying? But it's just kind of easy for people to say, well, you're on the media list, therefore your opinion don't matter. And I think that's really, really unfair.
Yeah, it pisses me off, honestly. But I also understand that like I choose to put my face and my name out there on the internet. So at times it really does get to me, which is rare. Like the other day I had one that really got to me and I almost went off and then I just put my phone down and I'm like, it's not worth it. Again, I could either be pissed off about that or be grateful to the 99% of people that support what I do. I'm not going to let that get to me in the big picture.
100%.
Occasionally I'm going to go off because I'm a human at the end of the day.
100%. But we have some really good news here with Frozen Ever After. We're getting new animatronics. We're losing, and this is courtesy. We both love Theme Park Wizard. He's awesome. But they're losing the projection faces, right?
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. I mean, this is wild.
Yeah, I still can't believe this is happening. I didn't know any of this news was coming today, for what it's worth. Like there are things that I get like a heads up on, and I'm just waiting for it to drop. Like I'll have it in my drafts, and then once it happens, I just attach the photo and I click send. Sometimes that's how I'm quick. But I woke up today at like 8:45 for the Zootopia song. That was my one thing I was getting ready to post. I'm like, oh shit! Like whoa! Like where did that come from? This is one of those things that I feel like everyone's kind of been talking about, like, oh, we need these at Epcot. And I'm like, yeah, right. That's gonna happen. Here we are. I'm happy to be wrong. I will be very open. I didn't know this was happening. I never expected this to happen, let alone early 2026. Like that's soon. They're not. This isn't like 2027. They're like, oh yeah, we're already doing this. By the way.
This is why, Drew. This is why, like, the Walt animatronic.
Yeah.
And I'm very supportive of like the concept behind that, because I think it's important to keep his memory alive and let young people know going forward that this was a real man, right? But this is why I don't get too stressed out about the animatronic not looking perfect, because these things are not permanent really ever. In a decade from now, we're probably going to get a new Walt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? I mean, you guys, Florida.
We could get a new Walt in 2027. This is. I honestly, I was saying in my I was thinking earlier, like I don't remember the last time I went on Frozen Ever After. I just don't have a desire to. Every time I look at the seams on the edge of like their faces, like right where from where it goes to the sculpt of like the latex to the seam, it always takes me out of it. So like I'm like, I like the ride, it's fun. But it's 10 years old at this point almost. And then I'm like, oh, well, now we have like Tokyo Disneyland stuff at Epcot. So that's something that no one else. I might post this tomorrow. That this now puts Frozen on the same level of Tiana's, but these are going to work. Tiana's doesn't work. So this is kind of like, I know that whenever Tiana's was opening, that they were like, yeah, this is our first time they've really brought like this level of animatronic that we have overseas to the domestic parks. Now it's going to be Frozen Ever After that has it too. For the next few years, this is going to be holding down the fort until the big ride's open.
Well, let me ask you a question, and it's kind of interesting with the international stuff, right? With Oriental Land Company and how they do things, because it's not technically Disney that's licensed out, and I know there was like a clause where we can't use certain things. But is it possible we're seeing these new animatronics because of that Frozen ride in Tokyo? Maybe the R&D was already done, a little cheaper for Disney to kind of recreate those kind of animatronics over here, because I find the timing kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm wondering, like, because if you think about it, World of Frozen opened in late 2023 in Hong Kong, and Fantasy Springs opened in summer of 2024 in Tokyo. So the opening like gap there isn't very big, which means that Oriental Land Company could have funded the R&D to where Imagineering got them ready for Hong Kong. And even though Hong Kong opened first, it was led by Oriental Land Company. So yeah, I think that this is kind of something that even we talked about months back about Abu Dhabi, how Abu Dhabi's R&D is going to benefit us. I think this is our first example ever of seeing how a third party funding a project can benefit us, now we're seeing it benefit Hong Kong, Paris, and Epcot.
And I'm telling you, I am really excited for what that Abu Dhabi project brings to the domestic parks, because we're going to see, dude, it's going to be a golden era of Imagineering like we've never seen before.
Yeah, that's I can't even imagine how fun it's going to be when we are together at D23 in 2028, looking back at this conversation, looking at the model for Abu Dhabi, and like, you remember back in 2025 we were talking about Frozen animatronics, and now we're staring at this beautiful model for Abu Dhabi. Crazy.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And some of the concepts for that park are really interesting too. Like how they're gonna, I read that they're trying to incorporate the water into the park somehow. I don't know what they're gonna do with that. But I think that's kind of interesting. I like the fact that they're utilizing the area, the landscape with, you know, the park itself. I think it's really, really smart. And plus it's gonna be mostly indoors, which I don't know how they're gonna work all that, but
yeah, we're going to see projects from Imagineering that like we've never seen in that style before, if that makes sense, you know, because like you look at like Universal over in Beijing, where you kind of have some of those indoor areas with like Kung Fu Panda and Jurassic Park. So like we've seen Universal Creative take a swing in it, but we've never seen anything like this from Imagineering, let alone when you have like a $10 billion check. I can't even imagine how excited these Imagineers are to be like, oh yeah, you're working on the park that has like a $2 billion budget on your section of the park. Like, that's just like a dream project. The kids right now that are getting internships on this park are gonna be spoiled. They're never gonna want to work on anything else.
yeah, no, and that's one thing too. I see a lot of fans, I think, unfairly kind of come down hard on this current generation of Imagineers. But you know what? We've seen what this current generation of Imagineers can do, and a lot of it's really cool. All that cool stuff that Tokyo gets, Imagineers did that. You know what I'm saying? Zootopia in Shanghai, Imagineers did that. When given the right budget.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
the ideas are always there. The ideas are always there. There's some ideas that I heard recently for Villains Land. I'm like, if they get the green light for this and they put money into it, holy shit. Like and that's the thing that always kind of disappoints me is all the concept art that exists that we'll never get to see because something got cut. To where these Imagineers, like, I would even say Tiana's, man. I think there was some concepts for Tiana's that I don't know anything here. I'm not teasing anything or hinting at anything by any means. But I guarantee you there's concept art for Tiana's out there that had some really cool things that just didn't happen. Whether it was like they were feared about some political feedback to it, like the voodoo magic or something silly, or the storyline got changed. But I don't think the Tiana's we got was Tiana's 1.0. I feel like this was Tiana's like 3.0, and this was like the safe version of it because it's just happy critters like Splash Mountain was. And now we're seeing a year later that that's not really panning out well. So even now I'm thinking like, are they going to fix Tiana's? Like I've given up on Tiana's at this point. I took down my poster for Tiana's. I think that's all I need to know.
Oh man,
I've given up on that. I know it's sad because I spent 5 months of my life documenting that ride, and now it doesn't work. I still love it. I still go on it every time in Magic Kingdom. It still makes me happy. But when I'm looking at Lewis and he's like,
in better days.
Yeah, and that's something too that I wish people realize is everyone's like, oh, well, Drew went on Tiana's for the first time and he was praising it. Well, the first time I ever went on Tiana's, everything was working. 99% of people have never gone on a fully functional Tiana's. I was very fortunate too. So I've opened my eyes to other people's realities, and I understand it's not what they wanted. So I'm just hoping that these next projects are better. Also, the fact that like coming back to Imagineering, and you know these current Imagineers, Chris, you make a really good point. You know they're doing great work. Even one of my friends right now, he's younger. He's like a year older than me, and he's done some really solid stuff recently. Like I'm impressed. I'm like, dude, I cannot be doing what you're doing right now. And they also have these mentors back for the first time. Like they've got Joe Rohde, they've got Jason Sorrell. I'm sure there's a few others they aren't talking about publicly, and they've got Bruce frickin' Vaughn. Bruce Vaughn didn't oversee Epcot. Bruce Vaughn didn't oversee Tiana's. All this stuff happening right now, Bruce Vaughn's overseeing. I think the first project we're about to see open under Bruce Vaughn and Animation Studios is Zootopia. So I think this show's going to surprise people. I think it's going to be really, really solid.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I love that too. I love the fact they're bringing in a lot of these legendary old guard kind of Imagineers like Joe Rohde and what have you to come in and teach the next generation all their tricks, all their, you know, I think that's really, really important to keep that kind of institutional knowledge alive, right? And
It's so important. And like Joe Rody was actually just out here. Like I think he's literally been out here like almost every month overseeing the work on the tropical Americas. I was at Coronado Springs and I just like walked up and he was checking in. I'm like, oh, Joe's on site, and he's not just here to be here. Like he's here because that was like right when the crane went up in Encanto. So I'm sure there's something going on there. But yeah, like I wouldn't even be shocked at this point if I'm going to put it out there now that I think that the Indiana Jones ride coming to the tropical Americas is going to surpass Disneyland. I think this.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going all out at this point. But again, like I understand if people aren't going to go that far yet because of these last few years. I'm self-aware of it. I'm not gonna deny those claims. Like I get so many comments and I see so many comments about, well, I don't trust Disney right now. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. I get that. But I think by the end of 2027, the tide's going to turn again.
I think so too. I'm really rooting for that Indiana Jones. I'm just happy you guys are getting Indiana Jones.
I
that
know,
thing
man.
is.
I know, and what's funny is like I love Dinosaur. Like in my opinion, Dinosaur is one of Disney's best rides, and I know that's a hot take. But I think like even from like walking up to it with the reveal and the dino statue, and then you walk inside and you're making your way through in the pre-show. Like I consider everything about an attraction, not just when you board the ride vehicle and pull on the yellow tab. I love Dinosaur. I understand that it's too dark and kids don't love it, but I'm not even sad anymore about that it's closing. Like we've known that Dinosaur, it's gonna be like 2,000 days from the initial announcement to closing. So at that point, like I've gone through the stages of grief by the time it closes. I just want Indiana Jones at this point because there's no denying that those animatronics are gonna be sick. I'm really hoping that they pull some Beastly Kingdom inspiration for that mythological creature. I think that that's what they're going to pull here. I think that Joe Rody's going to do something with a Beastly Kingdom concept, and they're going to promote that as, yeah, we've got Beastly Kingdom as a part of this discovery within this Mayan temple. I don't know. I think that I need to do a video on this Tropical America's Land, but I think Tropical America's is going to be better than Villain's Land. That's all.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it too. And I think it's gonna be beautiful. And I love Animal Kingdom for the cultural element of it.
It's so good.
It's so beautiful, man. It's amazing. But I want to ask you a question. Speaking of dinosaurs, right? Okay, they're getting rid of dinosaur. Disney, hasn't really back in Walt's day. I mean, he embraced dinos, right?
Yeah.
I think Fantasia had a dinosaur scene. We have the Primeval World on the Disneyland Railroad and what have you. But I feel like current Disney doesn't really embrace dinos. Do you think that's because, and I have a theory, but I feel like Disney has sort of conceded dinos to Universal. I think they feel dinosaurs are a Universal IP at this point. Is that kind of what you're feeling, or it's something different?
Yeah, I feel like once Velocicoaster opened, that was like the nail in the coffin. But I do think it's a mistake to remove dinosaurs completely from Animal Kingdom. I haven't talked about that much. I mentioned it a few times, but I think when you're talking about an Animal Kingdom and you have this massive park, like, come on, man. I'm not even mad about dinosaur closing. Like I said, I understand why you're going to do that. That's such an easy, cost-effective home run. Like, no-brainer. If I was Josh tomorrow, I'd probably be doing the same thing. But come on, no dinosaurs in Animal Kingdom is a big miss, in my opinion. I feel like that is a mistake. I'm like so pumped for Indy on one hand, but then on the other hand, I'm like, man, dinosaurs are awesome. Like dinosaurs are badass. Like, and really to think about it, like that's the only dinosaur ride in the United States where you can really feel like you're kind of with them. Where that first show scene you enter, like it has such great depth to it, where it feels like you're in a forest. Like it's a dark scene, but it's natural. Like that's what you would be experiencing in the Cretaceous period. Yeah. So when people critique that, I don't get that critique because it makes sense, because it's like there's like asteroids hitting you, and to see those asteroids flying, it would have to be dark, like streaks as they're flying down at you. So I love Dinosaur. I will miss it. I miss it. It's almost like the corniness of it. It's like a time capsule still.
Yeah.
It's campy. It can't be. That's the word. Yes. That's the exact word I was looking for. We're losing all that campiness though. I don't love that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And real quick, before we move on to our next topic, dinosaurs, 100% agree with you, are badass. And I always think about weird stuff like this, but what if there's like a planet out there that still has dinosaurs?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no doubt whatsoever. I really wish that like our government would talk to us about the other life that we have, outside of outside of us, but we're never gonna know those things. It would freak people out, even though I'd be like, holy shit, an alien. I'd be like, come say hi to me. If there was ever an alien invasion, I'd be like, what's up, dude?
Let's go. Yeah, no, there's got to be other life out there. And hey, if dinosaurs existed here on Earth at one point, I'm sure there's a planet somewhere that they're still thriving.
Yeah.
So
There's probably species that are 1,000 times more advanced than us out there somewhere, living without money and stress. Must be nice.
100%. But this is courtesy of Drew the Disney Dude out there on Instagram. Make sure you follow Drew the Disney Dude right over there at Instagram.
That post looks really cheesy. This is I don't know why I pulled this up, but
it says here Tokyo Disney Resort is reportedly considering adding Marvel themed attractions to the resort per Oriental Land Company's president. Now, this was interesting to me, Drew, because I was really surprised when we got Galaxy's Edge. We never saw Galaxy's Edge go international. They canceled the Galaxy's Edge project over there in Paris, and Tokyo. I thought, okay, for surely this is a really immersive land. Japan's going to get on this for sure. They never did, but they are considering Marvel. What's the reason for this in your opinion? Is it a cultural thing? Are the Japanese not into Star Wars as much as Marvel? Is it just something else going on? Like, what's your take on what's going on with this whole thing? Why Marvel?
I think they're getting good feedback for It's a Small World with Groot, and I think they're now saying, "Oh, that's what I think is happening here." Because I vividly remember whenever those first videos came out of It's a Small World with Groot, I made a few posts about it, from like the initial announcement to the first looks to the videos, and every time I posted that, it did really well on Twitter, like shockingly well. Like every time I post, in my head, I usually have an idea of the level of engagement it's going to get, and I'll strategically post things throughout the day to where they're spread out. But sometimes something shocked me, like Robert Irwin on Dancing with the Stars, or like It's a Small World with Groot. And I think that that's done well. And they're like, okay, well, we write unlimited checks, so we can kind of blow everything else out of the water, and people are going to eat this up. So I think it'll happen. And that's the only reason why I'd be cool with it, I guess, is because Tokyo isn't going to give us like a Web Slingers quality ride. They're going to give us like the absolute breathtaking Marvel experience, where you've got like a 30-foot tall animatronic, and like the visual media blending with it and all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool as long as it doesn't replace anything beloved out there. Because I feel like Tokyo is kind of entering this replacement era now, and we're going to start to see shit towards Tokyo in the years ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right. We're gonna see Marvel attractions done on a scope and scale we've never seen them done before. OLC about to hit that home run, and it's going to be very, very interesting. But the fact that the president is mentioning it's probably going to happen. And I would agree with you. I think that small world overlay has helped. Also, I've noticed on my social media feeds, like on X or like on Threads, even like Instagram, like a lot of accounts that I follow, that follow the Tokyo Resort. Every Halloween, the Japanese go crazy. They go crazy for the cosplay and stuff, which is amazing. They have amazing cosplay, all that good stuff. But I've noticed like the past few years, a lot of Marvel cosplays over there in Japan. So
interesting.
It's
gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's just, I don't know if it'll be as soon as we're expecting. They could even try something with that cruise ship. I don't think many people realize that OLC commissioned a Disney cruise ship. We're about to see a next level of Disney cruise ship enter the fleet in a couple of years. Everyone right now loves the Disney Fantasy and the Disney Treasure. Probably not after that ship sets sail. But yeah, it's interesting because like we've seen those early concepts back in, I think it was May, when they're like, oh yeah, Adventureland's gonna go and we're gonna get rid of all these things, and everyone was like, whoa. So I mean, if they're getting rid of all these things, like who knows what could go there. And we still are waiting on like the Wreck-It Ralph ride out there in Space Mountain, and there's a lot of really cool things coming to Tokyo right now. So
well, I got
just the fact that Space Mountain's gonna be so cool.
Oh, it's gonna be insane. I actually really love the gutsiness of that's a word, gutsiness of their Adventureland redo with adding adding Incredibles into that is like, I would never expect that. But then I watched the original movie and I'm like, but that island and all that, it kind of works though,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about like, you make a good point, because I feel like there's so many things within these movies where if the Imagineers really just dive into a specific scene or a specific moment, you can really build that story in any way. I mean, like, did anyone expect that planes, fire, and rescue was going to have an impact on Magic Kingdom? Hell no.
No
Here
idea.
we are. Like, it's really insane how so many thousands of people's creative choices lead to other people's lives being impacted. I
Yeah.
always think about how once a creative decision is locked in, how that could impact something down the road. It really fascinates my brain and the creativity in the world and how things get decided on. And once that's decided on, well, that's the final product and that's what becomes memorized and people are impacted for decades. Like, what would have happened if Sleeping Beauty Castle never was flipped to where the back of the castle is now the front of the castle? And that's freaking Sleeping Beauty Castle, man. It's
Yeah.
it's insane. And I'm sure there's many stories that we've never heard before.
No, 100%. And real quick, before we move on to our last story, I want to ask you too, The Simpsons. I
Yeah.
believe the contract runs out with Universal pretty soon. Do you think Disney will ever get any kind of Simpsons, whether it be a permanent attraction or maybe an overlay or an after hours thing or something with the Simpsons? Or do you think Disney sort of sees that IP as, you know what, that's a streaming and theater kind of thing only?
Yeah. I mean, personally, like, again, this might be a hot take, but I think The Simpsons would be like a blast at Hollywood studios. I feel like you can really do anything at Hollywood studios in film and movies and stuff. And even if it was just like The Simpsons, like a little area, like if they transformed like Pixar Place for the night into The Simpsons, like meet and greet area, and there was like music and characters out and about. I would love that. Like, I would love to see The Simpsons in Disney's Hollywood studios and only Disney's Hollywood studios.
Yeah.
But I feel like again, I don't really get a lot of credible Universal info. I'm not going to pretend that I do, but I feel like I've been seeing rumors pop up recently of like Universal extending the contract again, and maybe that's why we're kind of not hearing anything about Disney's side, because like Disney was sending out surveys, and I think it was last Christmas I posted about that, which is crazy. That it's almost been a year. But I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if after Bruce Vaughn came back and Disney kind of started to get these plans locked in for the next 10 years, that they decided, hey, you know, people have known the Simpsons universe for decades now. Let them keep that. We'll focus on the movies and the television side, and we'll move forward with our own IPs like Marvel and Star Wars, and, you know, even some of these legacy stories, like you're seeing Lion King coming to Paris. So yeah, I think at this point, Universal keeps The Simpsons, and we just get more Disney stories like the 20th Century Studios. Maybe some things like Alien eventually in Hollywood Studios, I think would be cool. But I think they'll dive into the things that they've acquired in recent years, but not necessarily something that they've kind of that's been at a theme park before that's already associated with Universal's properties.
I think a cool approach for The Simpsons, if hypothetically they were ever going to bring it to, say, Hollywood Studios,
Yeah.
would you be kind of going a meta direction, like have like the Great Simpsons movie ride, where like scenes from classic movies as told by the Simpsons characters?
I would love that. Yeah, I love wacky, crazy, silly ideas. Like, I don't know. That's why I love Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets, because it's just so silly and goofy. You're taking a high-speed 60-mile-per-hour coaster and you're throwing Kermit in a pre-show. Like, but I love it. It's so silly. I love it.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. Now, this story, I mean, this is really cool. I absolutely love this. The Storybook Canal Boats is an absolute treasure over there at Disneyland. But it says here, Rapunzel's Tower is coming to the attraction in the winter of 2025. So very, very soon. My only question is, what took them so long? Right? This is an amazing. Yeah, I mean, Tangled is really kind of like a classic Disney kind of feeling. You know, it has that Renaissance era vibe to it. And I just think it's perfect for this attraction. And so I don't know. I'm on board. What about you, Drew? What do you think about it?
Yeah, this one's awesome, and I'm not happy to say that like I don't really have a great memory of Casey Jr. Circus Train and the Storybook Boats. Like, when I was at a Disneyland back in August, I was there for like 8 hours at the parks. So I really need to come back out and like spend like a week at the park and just appreciate everything. But yeah, this is so cool, and I love the fact that they're actually kind of going to the effort of playing like different songs based on the time of day, like just the extra little detail there to, hey, let's go on Storybook Land when the park opens, and let's go back at night. So it gives you a reason to ride twice. And I'm sure like the lighting around, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like little twinkling effects on the tower itself. Yeah, it's really, really cool, and it's nice to see this finally announced. They accidentally uploaded like a photo for this on our little media folder, so I knew like a week before it was going to happen. And I was just waiting for it to drop. I'm like, yay, it's finally here.
Sure. No, I love it. I love it. For number one, because it's just perfect for this attraction. But number two, it also solidifies this attraction's place going forward for at least
Mhm.
another decade, probably at least.
Yeah.
Not that there was ever rumors of it going away, but you know, it's an older thing. It takes up a lot of real estate. You never know, right? So it's
Yeah.
good that this kind of solidifies. Okay, it has a place here at least for the time being. It's also a great way. Disney has really been masterful in its history of like, you know, keeping their IPs relevant for very, very long. Like, I mean, you still see little kids dressed up like Snow White, you know, a
Yeah.
franchise now from Disney that's almost 100 years old at this point, you know? And a lot of that is because of the parks and you know, you can still go on a Snow White attraction and you see the characters and it's little things like this, you know, Tangle's, you know, Rapunzel's tower that sort of like keeps these great IPs in the public eye for longer than if it was just on a streaming service or something like that. So no, I love it for that reason as well. And I think we're going to see this going forward. I mean, I know they added Frozen to this not too long ago. I'm sure we're going to see like, you know, additions going forward here and there of new stuff. But speaking of Disney movies, though, you made a post about Hex. It's
I
going to
did.
not be a musical, and
Yeah.
there's going to be a main villain. What are your thoughts on those two things while we're talking about fairy tales and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's funny because like this kind of went under the radar, but again, I love following everything because I can always find an angle. But Jared Bush, the chief creative officer of Animation Studios, Disney Animation Studios, was doing a Q&A on Twitter the other day, and he actually answered questions about Hex. Someone was like, "Is this musical?" And he's like, "No." But I'd love. He was even saying like, "I'd love to see a male-led musical one day," and I'm like, "Interesting." Because some of the Disney's classic stories, like you said, Chris, you make a great point about how the relevancy of these stories and how we're kind of seeing some of these stories really brought to the parks, even like Tiana's Bayou Adventure, even though it's been, you know, an operational nightmare and, you know, Tangled, it's awesome to see those movies like 15 years after they release kind of get some love in the parks. And that representation, I think, is great too, just for little girls to be able to see themselves in these rides and look up to those characters. But yeah, Hex is very interesting because like we only had that one piece of concept art, and it kind of was announced out of nowhere. Like we knew they had a movie on the calendar for next year, but I wasn't expecting it to be like this movie about a boy with magic and they have to figure out like what's making everything go crazy in their lives. And the fact that it has a villain, it almost makes me wonder, like, is that villain going to be attached to this kid's magic? Like, did he have this? Did he like give this kid the magic and the family doesn't realize it or something? But I don't know. I love that Animation Studios is like giving us stuff like Zootopia 2, and the next year we have an original movie. Like if they went like every other year, like sequel with like the characters we already know and love, while also taking a shot at something new to maybe become the next Zootopia. Because like that's what people forget is like everyone always complains about the sequels, but I don't complain about them because they were original at one point. They were a risk at one point. You know, Zootopia was a risk, you know, back before release in 2016. I think that's when it released. So the fact that now they're going to make $1 billion, they kind of deserve that because it was a success. So hey, who knows if Hex is a big success? You know, who knows? Maybe 10 years from now it's in the parks. Why not?
Now, when they say main villain, I got the vibe, and maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but when they say main villain, I think that means it's not a twist villain. Like we're gonna know this
Yeah.
is the bad guy from the beginning. Is that kind of the impression you got?
Yeah. I think when Jared Bush is saying that the film's gonna have a villain, that I mean, if he's already sharing this now before we've even seen a teaser trailer, I think that that's going to be conveyed, and even to the point that like in the teaser trailer for Zootopia 2, they showed that like shadowy figure like wearing the cloak as a way to say yes, this movie has a villain, which I think is the Linksley family. I think the Linksley family in this movie is going to have something to do with the like why the snakes and the reptiles and the mammals don't really feel comfortable in Zootopia. But like, there's not a villain in Zootopia that's wearing a cloak by any means. It was more of a sending a symbolic message that yes, we have a villain. So I think that under Jared Bush's leadership now, they're going down this route of these classic, you know, good versus evil, while also being original within those depths. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The fact that we're getting an original movie that has a villain and it's not a musical, I think is cool because like they kind of have properties like Encanto that they could dive into deeper that are musicals and are great. Like I love Encanto so much. I hope they do more with Encanto going forward. So I'd much rather have a musical that we kind of already know and expand on that rather than this.
Yeah, no, well said. And it's also a great opportunity if Hex really takes off and is a big hit. This is a perfect franchise for their Halloween events at the parks. Now you have a Disney animated property that's like tailor made basically for that spooky season, you know?
Yeah.
And you can put those characters in Oogie Boogie Bash or Mickey's Not So Scary or, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
That's cool because we don't really get that kind of film very often. I mean, we have Nightmare Before Christmas, right? But that came out like what, like early '90s or
So
something. I
long
mean,
ago. Yeah. It's still phenomenal though. I just wish that Henry Selick would get credit for all the work he did and not Tim Burton, but doesn't seem like it's gonna happen at this point.
no, following up. But Drew, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on, talking shop. It's always fun having you on. If you want to remind everybody where they could find you on social media, sir.
Yes, Drew the Disney Dude on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, all the major platforms. I'm doing a lot more, and we've got so much stuff coming up. Even Zootopia Better Together is just a few weeks out at this point. So looking forward to covering that, and I guess that even ties into what we just were wrapping up with Disney animation. The fact that the show is directed by Byron Howard, and all the animation was done in house at Walt Disney Animation Studios, and Jared Bush co-wrote the script. I think we're going to see a really surprisingly good show. So I'm looking forward to that one. I'll be covering that everywhere too.
Yeah, perfect. Make sure you subscribe and follow Drew the Disney Dude. I'll be linking his info down below in the description. I want to thank everybody for watching this episode of OG 55. We would love to hear from you. And until the next time, see you later.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.